What if everything you thought you knew wasn't the full truth? Let's be honest. We've all been in situations where we hear a story from someone, and it sounds convincing. But then you hear the other side, and suddenly, things don't seem so simple anymore. You start questioning everything. Who's telling the truth? Who's hiding something? What really happened? That feeling, that confusion, happens all the time in real life. Now just imagine dealing with that, but instead of it being between friends or family, it's between two massive Hollywood figures. And instead of a few people watching, the whole world is. That's what happened with Johnny Depp. You probably saw some of it online, memes, clips from the courtroom, debates, people taking sides. But what a lot of people didn't see, or maybe didn't fully understand, is what Johnny has come out and revealed since then. He's spoken up about what actually went down behind closed doors. Not just with his ex, Amber Heard, but with Hollywood as a whole. The way he was treated. The way stories were twisted. And how quickly everything he built was almost completely taken from him. This story isn't just about two celebrities in a messy breakup. It's about something much bigger. It's about how powerful narratives are. How fast people can turn on someone. And how dangerous it is when we stop asking questions and just believe the first version of a story we hear. So yeah, there's a lot to unpack here. Let's start with what we all saw, the trial. You remember the madness, right? Every social platform was flooded with videos, edits, arguments, breakdowns. People were choosing sides like it was a sports match. But here's the part that most folks missed: that entire trial, as big and public as it was really only a small piece of a much bigger situation. Because while Johnny was standing in that courtroom, defending himself, he wasn't just going up against Amber. He was standing up against an entire system. A system built around image, influence, and control. Hollywood is a machine that thrives on perception. And the media? They play a huge role in shaping those perceptions. When the accusations first hit the press, things went downhill fast for Johnny. Studios dropped him. Brand deals vanished. People he thought were close to him stopped replying to his calls. All of that happened before he had a single chance to defend himself publicly. No one waited for a court verdict. They just made up their minds. Can you imagine that? Being judged by the entire world without being given the chance to speak? That's what Johnny said it felt like. He said people didn't want to hear his side. They had already decided that he was the bad guy. And when you're labeled like that in the public eye, it's almost impossible to shake it off. It's something a lot of us have felt in our own lives. Being misunderstood, having our reputation damaged by lies or exaggerations. But with Johnny, it happened on a global scale. And the fallout was brutal. Disney, who made billions from the Pirates of the Caribbean films with Johnny at the center as Captain Jack Sparrow, cut ties with him. Just like that. No call. No conversation. No support. Warner Brothers did the same. He was supposed to be in the next Fantastic Beasts movie. Instead, they replaced him. And it wasn't because they had some solid proof or legal reason. It was because they were scared. Scared of public backlash. Scared of bad press. Scared of being associated with someone who was suddenly controversial. No one wanted to wait and find out if he was innocent or guilty. They just wanted to protect themselves. And that's when Johnny said something that hit hard: you're guilty until proven innocent, and even then, you're still guilty. And honestly, he's not wrong. That's how cancel culture works. That's how media pressure works. The truth often comes second. But this isn't just about the studios. Let's talk about Amber's role in all of this. Johnny shared a lot during the trial and afterwards. Things that made people stop and think. This wasn't just two people having a bad breakup. It went far beyond that. What shocked people most was how one version of the story, Amber's version, got picked up and promoted without hesitation. She had a huge platform. Magazines ran her interviews. Celebrities voiced their support. Advocacy groups held her up as a symbol. Her narrative spread like wildfire. Meanwhile, Johnny's side was completely ignored. No one wanted to hear it. And then there was that one audio clip. Maybe you heard it. Maybe you didn't. But in a private conversation, Amber told Johnny, "Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them. See if they believe you." That sentence right there, wow. It revealed everything. She knew she had the upper hand in the public's eyes. She knew how powerful her story would be. Even if parts of it weren't true. Now think about that. You're fighting for your name, your life, your career, and someone's daring you to speak up, knowing full well that no one's going to believe you anyway. That's not just personal conflict. That's manipulation at a whole different level. And that's when it really hit people. This wasn't just a trial about who did what. It became a battle about who controlled the story. And once someone gets to control the story, they often get to control the outcome, at least in the public's mind. But Johnny didn't stop with talking about the trial. He also opened up about what happened afterward. What life became like when the cameras were off and the headlines moved on. And honestly, it's heartbreaking. He said it felt like he'd disappeared. People he worked with for years. Silent. Friends. Gone. Doors. Slammed shut. Projects he was already involved in. Cancelled. Not publicly. Not in big announcements. Just, quietly erased. There's a term for that. It's called back-channel blacklisting. It's when the industry doesn't officially ban you, but behind the scenes, they make sure you don't get any more work. It's like being ghosted by an entire city. That's what Johnny was facing. And the hardest part? No one talks about it. It happens in the shadows. One day you're on top of the world. The next, no one's returning your calls. And no one even wants to admit why. And all of this destruction of his career, happened based on a story that was later proven to be deeply flawed. A story that didn't hold up in court. A story full of holes and contradictions. So why didn't he bounce back the second he won the defamation case? Well, here's where it gets even more revealing. One Hollywood executive said something during all this that really stood out. They said, "It's not about what happened. It's about what it looks like happened." Let that sink in. Hollywood isn't about truth. It's about image. It's about branding. If you look bad, even if you're not actually guilty, studios don't want to be associated with you. Because for them, it's about money, not morals. They don't want risk. They want safety. So when Johnny finally got his day in court and won, it didn't magically fix things. People still saw him the way they had when the accusations first came out. And that damage? It sticks. Even now, after proving his side, he's still working to rebuild. That's what makes this story so powerful. Because it's not just about one man's fall and rise. It's a wake-up call. It shows us how dangerous it is to jump to conclusions. To cancel someone before knowing the facts. To believe headlines without asking questions. Johnny's story reminds us that legal victories don't always lead to public forgiveness. And public forgiveness doesn't always come with the truth. Sometimes, people just move on. Or they hold on to the version of the story they're most comfortable with. Even if it's wrong. So what can we learn from this? How do we make sure we don't fall into the same trap? The answer is simple, but not always easy. Stay curious. Be thoughtful. Don't just go with the flow of what everyone else is saying. When a story blows up, take a step back. Ask yourself, do I really know what happened? Is there more to this than what I'm seeing? Look for the missing voices. The quiet ones. The ones who aren't being amplified. Sometimes the truth isn't loud. Sometimes it's buried. And it takes effort to find it. We all love drama. We all love a juicy story. But at the end of the day, these are real people. Real lives. Real careers. And the consequences of spreading or believing the wrong narrative can be huge. So yeah, what happened to Johnny Depp wasn't just about a messy relationship. It was a lesson in how easily someone's life can be turned upside down by assumptions, by media, by fear, and by silence. Now I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think about all this? Do you believe Johnny was treated fairly? Or do you think Hollywood, and maybe all of us, were too quick to judge? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading. I really want to know what you think. And if you found this breakdown helpful or eye-opening, there's another video on the channel that dives into cancel culture, how it starts, why it spreads, and whether people ever really get a second chance. If you're curious, I think you'll like it. And hey, if this video made you think, or if it helped you see things from a different angle, consider giving it a like. It really helps out. And if you want to keep exploring stories like this, stories that go deeper, subscribe and hit that little bell so you don't miss anything. Thanks for spending your time with me. It really means a lot. Until next time, take care of yourself, and stay curious.